So just to recap the main points from the Neurobiology of Breath workshop, we revisited different traditional styles of breathing throughout the history, and then we married this and connected it with today's neuroscientific research that has confirmed many of these processes and techniques and practices that people have been doing for thousands of years. And part of my lab and research and experience was really to share that. And so one of the points I made, and I just wanted to reconfirm, it's my experience with the ancient traditional Egyptian teaching and cosmology, where we practice different postures with the breathing exercises, because most of the breathing exercises were kind of more complex. They weren't just people lying on the floor or sitting up and then breathing and using the lungs. They actually involved a number of systems, and I really like that concept. And now with the neuroplasticity and neuroscience, we are finding out the greater involvement with different centers in the brainstem and brain itself, and different networks create different contextual experience, hence the memory and new neuroplasticity and new synaptic connections are formed in a different way, and they remain for longer. So here's the segment. It's the ancient Egyptian deity that represents power and healing, human with the head of a lioness. So the postures we were doing was 1 foot forward, and we were feeling centrally our spinal column should be really in connection with the ground and kind of directly above us as well. So we are reconnecting the ground and earth. So earth and heavens in a way. Very strong posture, shoulders and posture and chest are upright and strong. Fist is clenched, and you perhaps can see here that they use certain bars from metals like copper or even gold for different purposes and so on. But as far as we look at this anatomically and physiologically, when you clench the fist, that is direct connection and stimulation of the heart muscle and your cardiovascular system as well. So engaging your cardiovascular system, engaging your breath, and often there were longer breaths through the nose with the breath holds and so on. Often we used to focus on the tip of our nose as well. Sometimes we would engage the shoulders as we breathe in and then relax as we exhale. Again, stimulating different cranial nerves and so on. So just to acknowledge the wisdom of ancient Egypt and all the other traditions as well, where they used different systems in order to provide particular beneficial effect. The other practical part was physiological sigh, which was found in 1930s, but it's basically it's the exercise where you would inhale twice or more through your nose, and then you would exhale once or more through your mouth. Stimulating different brain centers, the respiratory brain centers in the brainstem, like pre-Botzinger complex and parafacial nuclei, and both are responsible for different functions. Like pre-Botzinger complex is responsible for rhythmic function that comes from uterus and so on, uterus stage, while parafacial nuclei regulates or it's responsible for irregular breathing patterns that happen during particular shock or cry or laughter or some of the irregular, let's say, events. So with this exercise, physiological sigh, we simulate both of these centers. So by inhaling through your nose twice or more, for example, just like this. So you carry on rhythmically, inhaling through your nose twice or maybe 3 times, and then exhaling once or 2 times, really expelling all the air out of your lungs and then inhaling as deep as you can. The key here is not to force the breath either in or out, but just allow fairly soft inhalation and exhalation, but determined, so it's not, it is soft but determined inhalation and exhalation. So that's one exercise that will also shift the balance of your neurotransmitters in the brain, and also will work on your oxygen, carbon dioxide in the blood, and it does bring greater awareness for whenever you're working or in any situation. And you can do this at any time. Anytime you might feel your breath is not, you hold your breath for whatever reason, or you need to be a little bit more awake or perk up, just do this 2-3 minutes and you'll see the difference. Okay. And then we'll come to Buteyko method or hyperventilation method, where you're trying to reduce the number of breaths. Yeah. And it's this work, I have a lot of experience with this since 1990s. It's from the doctor, Russian-Ukrainian doctor Buteyko, where you would use nose breathing only. So focus here is on actually breathing through your nose. Also, there are a number of variants here. So you would have inhales, you would have breath holds for a particular amount of time, then you would have exhales, possible breath holds again, and so on. In addition to this, you would also use nose pinching. So you pinch your nose during these breath holds in order to just retain the breath, but also indirectly you are stimulating the production of nitric oxide in your paranasal sinuses. And we elaborated the importance of nitric oxide in sterilization of your breath and in absorption of or redistribution in the lungs of oxygen in the lungs, as well as balance in your blood between oxygen, carbon dioxide, and so on. So the practical exercise goes in this way. So you will, first of all, exhale all the air out of your lungs as much as possible. Then you would inhale through your nose. Let's say for 6 count, then you hold for about 3 counts or more. And then you exhale through your nose for 6. Then you hold for 3. And then you inhale again. And then you let's pinch as you hold your breath, you pinch. Exhaling, exhaling, hold, pinch. Inhaling, hold, pinch. Hold, pinch. You can swallow as well. Keep your tongue soft. and carry on like that. Okay. Very powerful, very profound, very simple. Point here is the breath is not being forced again. It's very light, it's very soft, and it goes fairly deep as well. So, and allow your lungs and body and spontaneous movement within your the whole upper thoracics to as well as anterior, lateral, and posterior to respond. Diaphragm will work naturally. You don't need to force things. Okay. Sometimes you actually need to connect with the chest first through the breathing before you go down. Don't just force. Yeah, we do know diaphragmatic breathing is more natural, more beneficial, sure. But sometimes people hold breath in their chest, diaphragm is shocked or blocked or locked or whatever. So just being more aware of your general state. Addition to this as well, which I found very powerful, is when you do the same kind of exercises. So you would exhale again. And then you inhale, hold, pinch, and move your head up and down. Exhale, hold, pinch. And so on and so on. Just by moving your head up and down, you're engaging the 11th accessory nerve and other structures in the body, and that is enhancing also the overall effect and stimulates extra amount of nitric oxide in your paranasal sinuses and so on. Also you can do, instead of nodding your head, this is when you're in a sitting position, you can walk. By walking, you're actually moving the whole system in a different way, and that is very beneficial. Also, some of this breathing can be expressed through humming. When you exhale and you hum, or you produce some sound from your throat, the glossopharyngeal cranial nerve is responding, and all the structures in your larynx, trachea, and on and further on are vibrating and resonating. So, and that also produces excess amount of nitric oxide and, you know, changes the way we are. So, you know, as you inhale, I'm exhaling through the nose, but sound is coming from my larynx. And hold. And so on and so forth. So that's kind of the recap of the workshop. I mean, there are many slides and so on, and discussion on traditional and modern kind of approaches and how that can be utilized in daily life, or also if you're a therapist or a practitioner, how you can apply some of this work with your clients and so on. Just to close, one of the important suggestions. Often in some of the classes I attended, and when I learned some of the different breathing exercises, as I have learned many of them, most teachers will suggest to kind of go into specific pattern of breathing or do particular exercise or movements or posture or whatever. My approach to this is not to do that, because in a way, if you are immediately telling another human being what to do, you might be you are not meeting them where they are. Yeah, you might be ignoring their own personal state. So my approach is actually to ask people, how are you? How's your breath right now? Yeah, without changing anything, let them become aware of the breath, of the posture, of their general state. Yeah. So Once people are aware of that, how is their breath, how their general state is in relation to themselves and the environment, then it's a lot easier to start making the shift and change and reorganize the nervous system or other structures in the body. But if you're immediately trying to change them, you might be missing a really important point. Neuroplasticity does happen, but it's you drop the defense mechanisms if you meet people where they're at. You acknowledge them, you respect where they are, because you don't know the whole story. Your technique, my technique might be incredibly beneficial, might change thousands of lives and so on. But it doesn't help the person where they are right now. So initially, I don't know the whole context and the story of that individual, and therefore, let's just acknowledge that I don't need to know the whole story, but let's just acknowledge there is a specific story. Therefore, the diaphragm might not be open, or chest might be closed, or intercostal muscles might be closed, and then there is a twist in the posture. All of these things might be, there. But instead of just making people wrong, not directly, but indirectly, and trying to change them before acknowledging them, it might activate some defense mechanism. So that's just my approach, and my suggestion is meet people where they are, respect, honor where they are, and then if the system and the person is ready for a change, then let's change, let's re-educate. Thank you.